OCD can take everything from us, our peace, our time, our sense of confidence. But there's one thing that it can never take, and that is our ability to choose how we respond to it. We actually do have freedom in how we do this. Whilst we can't control what OCD does, it might give us a lot of intrusive thoughts. It might give us huge anxiety, shame, guilt, all sorts of very difficult emotions to deal with. It might make us focus on sensations that we don't want to be aware of. It might keep on making certain fears pop up into our head or giving us images that we don't want to see. And all of this stuff is obviously horrendous. When you're going through that, when you're dealing with that, it can be, one of the worst things to experience. And this is why OCD is so hard. But fortunately, the reality is that whilst you can't control those things, you do get to choose how you respond to them. And it's so important that we can, because this is where, all of your energy is. This is where your ability to choose how to kind of live your life resides. It's really right there in this choice that you have, and ultimately, our choice needs to be one of acceptance. So often when we're not dealing with OCD well, we're getting caught up in frustration and anger about what is. And unfortunately, we can't change the fact that we're experiencing intrusive thoughts in that moment. There is a certain kind of reality to the nature of OCD that it is just present. It is part of your experience in that moment. And if we get really angry and upset about that, if we demand that things be different, we try to push it away, we try to have certainty, we try to feel better in the short term. Of course, what ends up happening, as I'm sure you know all too well, is things just end up getting worse. But instead, if we realize that we can choose to bring acceptance and compassion to those things, that actually it's completely in our ability to make that choice, that is a very empowering thing. And if it wasn't like this, if you didn't have that choice in how you respond to OCD, well, we really would be stuck. There wouldn't be a way out of the trap. And if you're finding yourself stuck in that OCD trap, I do now have a 12-week program. If you're interested in applying for that, you can head over to my website, robertjamescoaching.com, to book in for a free discovery call. So, realizing that you have that choice, that ability to bring acceptance, compassion, to redirect your attention to your values and your goals when you find yourself really getting caught up in OCD. The fact that you can do that is really a game changer. If you couldn't do that, you really would be stuck. You wouldn't have a way out of the trap. But the fact that you can is really the beginnings of the process of being able to let go of OCD. So, once we realize that we have this ability, we can then choose to focus on our goals, our values. And really, that's the way that we can kind of create meaning in our life. When we create meaning, it enables us to deal with difficult things. And the more that we're able to kind of create that meaning through our values, through actually being aware of what your values are. And this might take a bit of work. You might need to really sit down and reflect on that. What are the important things to you in your life? What gives you that kind of energy to get up in the morning and get going? What gives you that momentum, that kind of feeling that you're actually kind of living your life in a way that makes you happy and it makes you feel excited? Those are your values, and those are the things that we really want to focus on in OCD. And typically, OCD and fear in particular, it really takes us away from those values. It takes us away from our goals. Really, once we realize that we can make this choice to focus on other things, and if we've spent time focusing on what those other things might be, our values, well, now we've got, a winning set of circumstances to really help us to choose to focus our attention onto something positive, something that's going to help us to feel better in the long term and even in the midterm. Something that's going to allow us to move our attention away from, how annoying, how frustrating, how horrible the OCD is. Of course, I'm not taking away from that. These things are very difficult to deal with when you're experiencing obsessions. But the reality is that, we do have this choice. We do have this ability to focus our attention onto our values. And when we do that, we create meaning. And meaning helps us to deal with difficult things. It helps us to deal with anxiety, other difficult emotions, and it gives us a kind of path forward so that we know that there's things that we can do, that we can focus on to help us to feel better. So many thanks, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed that one. Remember, I do offer a free discovery call. To get that, you can head over to my website, robertjamescoaching.com. Many thanks, and I'll see you next time. This video is for education only. It's not therapy or medical advice. If you're struggling, please speak with a licensed mental health professional.